Good afternoon, folks. Jason Shepard here with the Anchor Room. I'm going to talk today about the Fender stripe installation on this S550, this 15 through 18 Mustang. The tools in front of you today, we're going to use application fluid, which is nothing more than soapy water. Our recipe calls for 1 to 2 milliliters of baby shampoo to 32 ounces of water. The microfiber towel, which we're going to use to dab up any excess that we wipe away. And of course the squeegee in the background pictured is our yellow Super Flex. You can also use a regular felt tip squeegee if you'd like. However, the squeegee shown is quickly become our favorite over time. Alright, let's talk about some alignment points next, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Alright, 2 alignment points I want to talk about here real quick. This is the battery cover on our S550, the 15 through 18 Mustang. It has a push pin right here, and that push pin, or at least the center alignment point, is going to be right here on the fender. It's going to be the rearmost piece of our passenger side rear stripe. That's a mouthful, I realize that. Just for the other side as a reference point, since there obviously is no battery cover over there, the distance from here forward to the edge of the fender right there by the front part of your door is 23.5 inches. So you're going to have to use a measuring tape to get that center mark on the other side. Also, there's a lip right here on the inside of the fender. The fender stripes have been made perfect so that it curves around the edge and to that strip or line right there, so it lays flat, so it has the exact layout on the fender itself once it's placed properly. Alright, let's get started. Alright, this is the layout when you get it from us. Obviously it got a little wet because I've already started installing the stripe, which I'll talk about in just a second. But as indicated by the D, this is the driver's side, 2 pieces plus a spacer. The actual larger stripe, which sits towards the rear of the vehicle, the smaller stripe, which sits towards the front, and then the spacer that we're going to use in between those to make sure the spacing is absolutely perfect on both sides. I went ahead and put this stripe in place because I didn't want to get my big head in front of the camera, but just so you know, we used the back side and aligned it with the push pin on the battery cover, the frontmost push pin on the battery cover, and then on here the lip inside the fender is perfectly laying on the body line of the fender underneath. Having said that, the next step here, obviously like I said before, is spraying the car. We're going to spray both sides because it'll make the squeegee glide just a little bit easier, but as you can tell, just working top to bottom, it's a very straightforward installation. So we're going to go all the way towards the bottom, and as you can tell, there's going to be a little bit of a overhang. It's actually just a perfect amount to make sure that we can curve it underneath the fender here. I'm going to use some of this, get rid of some of this excess liquid real quick to show you that loop around. It's about 65 degrees here where we are. Anything 65 degrees or warm is usually warm enough to do this. If not, a heat gun will be a necessity. If it is 65 or warmer, a heat gun should not be a necessity. In the center of the decal, I'm going to probably, as soon as I wipe this one down, and roll the center over and work my way from the center out. And ironically, having said that I don't need a heat gun, I actually may. Let's try to. A heat gun usually does 2 things. It contours the material to the surface that you're applying it to, as well as it evaporates the application fluid, making the decal stick. As you can tell, it's falling right into place at this point. And now we're going to move on to the spacer. Alright, we're going to grab the spacer, which is a little longer than the actual stripe. Both stripes, it's made that way just it makes it a little easier for you to put on. I'm going to lay it right beside, and then just use my finger to get some of that liquid out. No need to wrap it on the top and the bottom, obviously, since it's going to come right off. And then we're going to take the actual front side stripe. Remember, which is top and bottom. I grabbed it from the bottom, and we're just going to lay it in place. At this point, your only real concern is to make sure that that has enough material to fall over the lip, which obviously it does here. I'm going to use my squeegee one more time from the center out. And at this point I feel pretty comfortable removing that spacer since it's done its job. And then last but not least, we're going to wrap the top and the bottom around the wheel arch. And that concludes our installation.